we'll do the live thing first. Like, hey everybody, welcome back to the Bigmark podcast. It's me, your host, Bigmark. If it's your first time watching, welcome. If not, welcome back. Like I always say, if you ever wanted to reach out to the podcast, let us know. If you ever wanted to come on as a guest or give us an idea for a topic, anything like that, please reach out. Let us know in our DMs at the Bigmark podcast, at the Bigmark pod on Twitter or X or whatever you call it, or Instagram. Hit us up there and let us know. We always want to hear from everybody. Grow that community, grow that all that connectedness and having good times. And spreading the word like we're going to be doing today. We're going to be doing a little bit of sharing the love in the old kitchen here. As you can see, we're not in the regular Bigmark studio. We are in the Bigmark kitchen. So I get to live out again my dreams of having my own cooking show and do a little baking, which I like to do, and then show you how to do it too. So really excited about today's episode. We're learning to make a one loaf focaccia. So literally one loaf, literally a single bread loaf pan is going to be all we're using today. I'll show you right now. It is just your standard 9 by 13. I got the old Paderno here, 9 by 13, as we'll see throughout the program. There's going to be a few different steps here. We're going to try a couple different things today with the camera and having a good time. So again, follow along from home. Really easy to make. You can do it in an evening. You know, it doesn't take too long. And it's not everyone lives at home with a bunch of people. Some people are living solo dolo on their own. So this is a great recipe for anyone who just wants to make, or even if you're at home, you don't want to make a big, huge loaf of focaccia that you don't think the whole family is going to go through. This is a great way to do it. So follow along. So we're going to start here with 120 grams of all-purpose flour. To that, we're going to add 5 grams of diamond crystal, or just kosher salt. We're going to add that. Then we're going to add 5 grams of sugar. Add that in. The key is you want to have your kitchen scale. Right now I pre-weighed a lot of these ingredients, but everything is based on the kitchen scale, so you want to make sure you have one of these. And then when you add that in, honestly, you can just use your little fork that you have here, kind of mix that all together, mixy. You know, use your hands if you want to get messy, but this one is honestly a pretty clean recipe. So we're just going to make a little well in the middle there, because then what we're going to do is tear our scale out there. We're going to add 90 grams of warm water. So this is warm water. It's going to be for the yeast. You want to give it a nice little home. The sugar that's in the flour already, and then the extra sugar that we added, just regular white sugar, is going to give the yeast a little bit more love. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure it's 90. Pour that into the well in the middle there. This water I also let sit overnight so it doesn't have a lot of chlorine, which I find really helps make sure the yeast is happy. So that's 90. Look at that. Perfect. Hey, what can you do? So now we got that all together. What we're going to do is we're going to get our yeast here. So we just have dry instant yeast, nothing too fancy. We're going to take this. We're going to sprinkle that right on top of the warm water here. The reason why we kind of sprinkle it, gives a lot of surface area for the yeast to get at the water and start to rehydrate. So we got to give that about 30 to 60 seconds. So again, you know, anytime, like the last episode we made bread, you know, we want this to be easy. We want to kind of approach it, you know, in an with the idea that it's not going to be all that hard. And the idea is, again, it isn't, because we've been making bread for centuries and centuries now, thousands of years basically at this point as human beings. Focaccia is a wonderful, you know, more Italian style, but again, it really gives you that kind of chance to just dip your toes in making bread too, because this is so easy. So like I said, about 30 to 60 seconds here. Everything's going to be good. Once that 30 to 60 seconds is up, we're going to add some oil here. So we have 10 grams of extra virgin olive oil here. We're just going to add that in. A little extra left in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use our fork or a spatula to kind of mix things up. I kind of like to start in the middle here, get everything mixed, then slowly but surely add more in as it goes. I don't always like to mix on top of the scale, just to make sure the scale is cool and chill. I'm just going to take that out of here. You know, you want to preserve the life of your tools, right? So, but again, super easy. That's the name of the game today. Just taking this, mixing it together. You know, you're not doing a lot of kneading, you're not doing a lot of anything like that. Just bringing things together till it kind of basically forms a dough. And then we're going to kind of fold it over itself a little bit. Make sure any of that kind of dry mixture is around here, and then the stuff that's wet at least has a little bit more incorporation here. So we're going to just make sure everything's put together. And then it's going to be somewhat in the shape of a ball. I'd say that's about in the shape of a ball. What do you guys think? So try to get a little bit of that off there. Then we're going to take a little mouland, a little cling wrap here. I like to cut off a little bit of a bigger piece here, just because we're going to keep using the same one. Again, just for the sake of not waste, we're going to try to keep this one piece of saran for the whole bake. So we'll take that and we'll just cover it. Boom shakalaka. And we'll see you in 15 minutes. Alright, now it's been 15 minutes. We're going to do a modified, what's called slap and fold technique. I'm going to show you how it's done. It's pretty straightforward. Again, don't let fancy names and techniques fool you. Slap and fold, just as fun as it sounds. Alright, so 15 minutes. This baby's been chilling out here. We'll take off our saran. And I got a little bowl of water here because that's going to help dampen our hands a little bit here, because we're going to handle the dough and we don't want it sticking to our hands. Now, I'm being a little bit delicate. I don't want to get too wet that I'm going to be adding more, too much more water back to the dough. But we got to have a little bit just to make sure. So, again, the slap and fold. And we're going to rotate the bowl 90 degrees. We're going to pick it up again, slap, we can stretch it out and fold it. And this isn't a lot of dough, so sometimes if you've ever done this with a bigger recipe, larger recipe, more dough, it's a little bit easier to do this. But again, slap, fold. We're going to do this 4 to 6 times here. It doesn't really have to be pretty in the first stage here, but you know, even as you can see, things are starting to kind of like come together a little bit more here. Pick it up, slap, fold, and I do one more there. You know, rinse your fingers off a little bit here. We're going to take our saran again. We're going to push it right over top. I cover. Let that baby sit for another 15 minutes. Okay, so it's been another 15 minutes. We're going to uncover here, wet our hands down a little bit, but not too much. Again, we're going to do our little slap and fold technique again. You know, sometimes it kind of gets a little sticky to the bottom of the bowl, but you know, kind of just work it up here, work it all together. Try to keep the dough all together there as much as you can. Keep the hands nice and moist. Sorry for everyone who thinks that word is gross. And we're going to slap. Boom. 1, 2, boom. 3, boom. 4, 5. We're going to try to get 6 here. Boom. Folded. Baby. Okay. Now, we're going to set this aside. Take our water out of here as well. Got our loaf pan. Got our loaf pan. Take a little olive oil. Yasu tikanis. Posise malaka malaka. We're going to pour about a Greek tablespoon in there. Spread them shits around. Then we're going to take our dough, put it in there, get a little, maybe a little oil on the fingers there, stretch it out a little bit, get it kind of involved, not too shabby. Take our fucking saran, trusty saran, shoot, let that shit sit there for like an hour. Peace. Alright, it's been a whole hour now. We've let the dough rest in the pan for the hour. It should be a little bit bigger and kind of filled out a little bit more space in the pan. I'm going to show you a little bit of a technique here of how to kind of start to initially shape the focaccia here. We're going to shape it and we're going to let it rest one more time. Let me show you how it's done. So as you can see here, it's kind of filled out the pan. I'm going to just dip my fingers kind of in the oil here around here. And then I'm going to push my fingers all the way to the bottom and spread it out into the sides here like that. Boom. And then we're going to cover it again. Just like that. See you in 30. Alright, while we leave that to rest for 30 minutes, we're going to preheat the oven. So preheat the oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. If your dough isn't rising very quickly, you can kind of leave it around where the oven is heating up, because the room temperature, if it's a little cooler in your kitchen, it might not rise as quickly as you'd like. So you can always bring that over to the oven and kind of set it around there, set it on top. Like I said, preheat it to 400. Once it's at 400 and 30 minutes have gone by, you're going to put the pan on the middle rack. So set the rack to the middle before you start the oven. I mean, you can always move it with an oven mitt, but hey, it's all about tips here on the Bigmark podcast. See you in 30. Okay, it's been 30 minutes. We're going to remove the cover, drizzle a little bit more olive oil on top here. Make sure you get it all in there like so. It doesn't have to be too much. And honestly, you can put a bunch of different stuff on top. You can put some herbs. I like to put a little salt and a little bit of red pepper flakes here, just for a little bit of spice. But honestly, definitely put some salt on it. Don't be afraid to get a nice, generous coating on there, because it tastes nice. And then we're going to take this bad boy and we're going to put it in the oven. Alright, now the oven's at 400 degrees. We're going to slip this one in for 20 minutes. Keep it on it as it's baking, but 20 should do the trick. See how toasted you really like it. The longer you leave it in there, the browner it'll be. You know, it kind of takes some experimentation and stuff like that. But we'll see you in 20. Alright everybody, it's time. It's been 20 minutes. I checked it out at 20. It's a little bit pale, so I let it go a little bit longer. So I'd say about 23, 24 minutes, almost 25. You can push it in another 5 minutes. But, you know, keep it at, you know, whatever doneness you like. However brown you like it on top. Go. But I did it for about 3.5, 4 minutes longer. So I'm going to take it out of the pan. I'm going to put it on a cooling rack. There we go. I don't want to knock off all the toppings, but that's crispy. So I just kind of like work my knife around the edge. Just make sure everything's loose there. Should come out nice and easy. And there you have it. The one loaf pan focaccia. Let it cool there for a bit, of course, before you dig in. But we did it. Bread. One-pan focaccia. Super easy recipe, like I said. Takes a couple hours, but you can have yourself a fresh French bread, as I call it. Fresh bread. Mange mon pain. What is pain? French bread. Anyway, I can do this all night. But thank y'all for watching. Another episode of Bread by Bigmark. Follow us along, like and subscribe. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/BigmarkPod. Let me know if you have any questions. The recipe will be in the description below. Thanks again for watching. Love y'all. We'll see you soon. Peace.